there are some strange things happening in the Florida real estate market.
In this video, we're going to give you an update with the latest data from Redfin. And you're going to want to see all the data to get a good understanding of what's happening.
And we're going to have an interesting take that you're not going to hear anywhere else.
Yeah, the market is doing things that I don't think anyone else out there is talking about, and we're going to give you the lowdown.
So let's get started. New listings are trending down as compared to the previous 2 years. We're sitting at negative 7.3% year over year.
It's a pretty significant drop, and that will tie in with some data we're going to show you later, and this all ties into like our theory on what's happening with the market right now. But yeah, new listings are down, so that's not a good sign for people looking to buy, it seems like on the surface. But again, stay tuned for what we're going to go over later, and all the rest of the data will kind of bring the pieces of the puzzle together. Pending sales are a little bit down too. You can see right here, the blue line is starting to trend down. Year over year, it is definitely down as well. Not significantly, I would say, but enough though. 5% is somewhat significant.
Off the market in 2 weeks, also down. That's no surprise. We have a lot less cash offers.
And trending, I mean, not just down big year over year, but trending down even like month over month too. We'll see what happens with that. That's kind of an interesting thing, you know, because you would think the only people buying now would be more cash buyers with interest rates. But I just think the demand is kind of starting to
some buyers are pulling the
little.
trigger, and they realize that interest rates might not come down anytime soon. So if you need a home and you can't wait, you're going to have to kind of like decide, okay, do I still keep renting? Like, do I buy? Do I still pay my landlord's mortgage, or do I pay my own mortgage and start building some wealth? So those are some decisions I think people are making and realizing right now.
Yeah, and I think a lot of cash buyers are just looking at it like right now, like, okay, interest is high. A lot of people that have the cash are very financially savvy and kind of try to time the market and things like that. So they're probably kind of sitting on the sidelines and waiting things out. So homes sold, as you can see, is trending up. And again, this is going to tie into something that we're going to talk about in a little bit. Part of that is, as you can see though, like this happens every year right around this time. You look at the red line, the orange line, and the blue line, 21, 22, 23. It's this time of year in Northport, Sarasota, basically Florida in general.
All of Florida.
A lot of people are moving to the area.
And our busy time in the real estate market here in Florida is during winter. During summer months, you'll see that it's a lot slower. So that's why the graph looks pretty similar for all 3 years.
As you can see, April is about when it starts tapering off, which is about where we're at right now when we're filming this, late April.
The new listing median price is $482, and that's a negative 3.26% year over year.
Yeah, definitely starting to trend down. You could see if you look at 2022, it was overall kind of flat, you know, and then kind of had this shot up at the end of the year, and it's kind of gradually been working its way back down. But the fact that the listing median price is starting to go down tells you a lot, because that's something that we haven't seen drop in a while, because you had a lot of buyers out there trying to basically get as much as they can. And I think that's starting to change. They're starting to realize, okay, we can't put these crazy numbers on the listing anymore.
Yeah, sellers are becoming more educated and more savvy, and they know that if they go really high, their house is going to sit on the market for a while if they go where they're supposed to go, maybe the median or average, then either the home will sell quickly or within probably 6-7 days.
And let's see how that pairs up with median sale price. Median sale price is sort of flat, but looks like it might be trending down.
Yeah.
And, you know, overall, I think the biggest change we're starting to see now is like, well, the median sale price, let's take a look at that real quick. $465,000 versus the list price at $482. So they are still selling below that listing price, but what we were seeing for a while was like a lot of people were still putting these crazy list prices and then ended up having to come down on it. And it's coming a little bit closer to balancing out, because I think people are getting a little smarter on that listing.
Median days on market is 28 days, up 23 year over year, and it seems like it is flattening.
Yeah, and I mean, look at the jump between, it's the black line versus the blue line. So not the, orange, which would have been 2021, 2022 versus 2023. That's a pretty stark difference, literally 23 days more. So what that tells you is places are starting to sit a little bit longer, which is interesting, again, with the piece of data we're going to show you in a little bit. Price drops as we mentioned before, people are starting to list a little bit smarter. It was on the rise, but it is starting to flatten out a little bit. There was a ton of them, as you could see,
2022,
like towards the middle of 2022.
I think that's when people started realizing the market was changing, and you couldn't just put your house on the market for whatever price and then get an offer above that asking price.
Yeah, so they were still at that point trying to like put the crazy list price out there, and then they had to drop it. So here's where things start getting interesting, and keep this piece of data in mind because we're going to talk about our theory on this in a little bit. Inventory is dropping pretty rapidly. Like, look at this. We went from, what is that, January 2nd to the 29th. That date range,
weeks.
We were sitting around
24.7.
24, so almost 6 months. So then now look at where we're at. 12 weeks of supply, so about 3 months. And I mean, obviously it was really, really low in 21, 22, but I mean, we're trending back towards that at the moment. So with that, you would think, okay, we got a really low supply, and so with supply and demand, that makes you wonder, like, well, maybe prices could go up. Which is not what anyone wants to hear, but maybe prices could go up. That's not the theory quite yet. We'll give you that in a little bit. But with months of supply dropping, usually that's like your indicator. If you're below, what's the saying? 5 to 6 months is a healthy market, you say?
3 to 6 months.
3 to 6 months?
So we're just slightly above. And on the buyer side, there are people that cannot find a home because, we have a limited supply of inventory. So what they're looking for, it's not out there. Some homes are sitting on the market for a while, so it would give you kind of like this illusion that our inventory is high, but it's the same homes, maybe not in as popular neighborhoods, or maybe they're too small and people are looking for like a 3-bed or 4-bedroom home. So it gives you kind of like an illusion that there are a lot of homes on the market, when in reality, we're sitting at 2 months of inventory.
Yeah, and I mean, there are some places that you see sell quick.
Yes.
Still, it just depends on how it's priced, the location, the demand for it, whatever. One other thing I think to maybe consider, I mean, you can see this, like as we mentioned before, there's a seasonality here in Florida, right? Even in 2021, you could see how inventory did kind of drop around this time, and it is doing that right now too. So one thing to keep in mind is maybe now that the summer months are coming, maybe we see that inventory build back up. I guess we'll see, but still, it's a pretty big drop off.
Yes, and a lot of people are not wanting to put their house on the market too, because again, like, where are they gonna go? They would have to downsize or buy a property that's more expensive. So that is concerning. Yeah.
Another piece of interesting data, average sale to list ratio. Right about now, as you can see, we're sitting at 9.9783383, which basically means people are being able to buy homes a little bit cheaper than what it's listed, which if you look at the last 2 years, that's a pretty good spot that we're at compared to then. It tells you a little bit of the pandemonium is over, and there's a little bit maybe more room to negotiate on houses.
On some houses, not all, because there are some homes still, they hit the market and they get multiple offers within the same day.
Yeah.
So, and sell within about 6 days. So not all homes are selling quickly, not all are staying on the market for a while. It just depends on the home and the neighborhood.
And again, with this tying in with the inventory, right? Lower inventory. So you would think places would be going for higher than the listing price, right? Because low supply, and there's the demand. So here's the theory that we have. 2 to 3 months of supply is on that lower end, right? Law of supply and demand would say, okay, well then with demand, that should make these prices, since there's so low inventory, rise up. What we think is happening is low supply, but even lower demand. It's not that typical, if there's low supply, there's high demand, or if there's high supply, there's low demand. It's not working that way with the prices right now in the supply and demand dynamic, because of how expensive places are, how much interest is. Now your payment is so much that even though there's a really low supply, the demand is not there. So I think what we might see is maybe inventory does build a little more in Florida, over these next few months in the summer months, because typically it does. We'll see what happens. But I think maybe, and that could potentially make prices drop down a little bit so people can start to afford it. But I think what you're gonna see happen is when interest rates come back down, I think a lot of that demand is gonna come back, and you're gonna see a lot of that supply go away like that.
Yes, and prices go up again because of that, because now people are buying.
So you might have, I'd say even now maybe is a potential window, because if there's something that's been on the market for a while, you can maybe get a deal. Or maybe as supply builds more and maybe prices drop a little more, that might be your opportunity to get a deal, but it's probably gonna be a pretty small window, I think.
Yes, I agree with that. Another piece of information or data from Redfin that I found interesting and that kind of like backs what we're talking about, we're not just, you know, throwing theories or ideas out there, is that it's a section called How Hot is the Blank Housing Market. So you can just put your city in. So I just did Venice, and Venice housing market is very competitive according to Redfin. So the housing market here in Venice is sitting at 70 out of 100. It is very competitive according to Redfin, and the average home sells for about 3% below the list price, and they do go pending within 21 days. And it also says hot homes can sell for around list price and go pending in around 5 days. What I thought was interesting is that I also pulled Sarasota just because we're so close to Sarasota, so I just wanted to see. It's slightly lower.
68.
68, yeah. So, I mean, still 3% below list price, 25 days, and go pending in 6 days. So pretty similar, but it's a little bit lower. So I just thought that was interesting as well.
Yeah, I think part of that is Venice kind of captured a lot of people's attention that it hadn't before. It has a different feel and vibe than Sarasota that you can't really quite get. You know, it's a little bit more of a small-ish town feel, but it is growing. And I think that maybe the Welland Park is contributing to that too. But I guess we'll see.
If you're looking to buy or sell a home in the Venice, Sarasota area, make sure to call, text, or email us, 941-221-1897. I am a local realtor here.
We hear from people all the time, whether you're looking to move in 2 days, 2 months, maybe a little bit longer, we always got your back. If you found the video helpful, make sure to subscribe to catch the newest market updates. If you want to know more about life in Venice, Florida, check out this video. Sarasota, check out this video. Northport, check out this video. And Inglewood, check out this video.
Thanks for watching, and live breezy.